Okay, so by now most of you have seen the Mike Tyson beating up a passenger on his flight from, I believe, San Francisco to Florida. And it happened prior to takeoff, allegedly. It was a 10:30 p.m. flight, and Mike Tyson was being, what some people are saying, harassed by a intoxicated male passenger. The intoxicated male was having a friend videotape the entire thing, which is also suspect. So let me know where you're tuning in from, city and state. Also, let me know if you're tuning in from outside of this great nation, country, region, province. Always want to know where you are tuning in from. Give yourself a shout out, your city, your state, your country, whatever it may be. Okay, so the video that you're seeing, ironically, all the news outlets are cutting the video at the point right before Mike Tyson assaults or responds to this drunk young man harassing him. Now, let me start off by saying, of course, it's never okay to assault somebody who is verbally harassing you, annoying you, irritating you. Never okay. There are a lot of options you can take. Now, of course, if someone puts their hands on you and escalates the verbal assault to physical assault, then that is a different story. But that's not what happened here. So, what we saw on the clips that they are strategically showing you on social media for some reason is the man annoying him, and then at one point he's just sitting in his seat. His friend is videotaping him laughing at his drunk buddy. And the next thing you know, out of the blue, the next clip they're showing you is Mike Tyson turned around, leaning over the backrest of his seat and punching down on the man in back of him. We're not stupid. They think we're stupid, but we're not stupid. We all know that something happened in that missing clip where the man, obviously, what reports are saying was he continuously was getting in Mike Tyson's face. And Mike Tyson, by reports of people who were also on the plane, repeatedly asked him to stop. Repeatedly asked him to leave him alone. At one point even turned a little bit, was like, all right, enough, man, all right. But they're not showing that part of the video. They're only showing you the video of the kid kind of standing behind Mike Tyson, looking down at him, talking to him, and then next thing you know, they magically cut to the point of Mike Tyson hitting him. So always be suspect of why, because you know the friend didn't stop videotaping, right? You know he didn't stop and then start again. Well, he just happened to start as Mike Tyson was punching his drunk, annoying buddy. Okay? So ask yourself, why aren't they showing you the entire unedited, uncut clip? Because the eyewitness testimony from people who were on the plane are telling a different story than what was being played in the videos on social media, TMZ, and all that stuff. So that's one thing. The next thing is, ask yourself this question. Nobody got up and did anything with this drunk man harassing Mike Tyson. Now, let me ask you this. If this drunk man was harassing a female passenger like this, maybe a female celebrity or maybe just a female passenger in general, would somebody have intervened prior to it escalating to a physical confrontation? My belief is yes. I believe somebody, whether it was another passenger or someone who was an airline employee, would have intervened. I am sure of it. But for some reason, because I guess it was Mike Tyson, Nobody intervened, and everyone watched as this drunk young man kept escalating his level of verbal harassment of Mike Tyson. Now, let's pause here. This is like a public service announcement. If you see a man that is a known killer in the boxing ring, is known to have some open mental illness issues. The man had a tiger as a pet. The man has a tattoo on his face, and the stories go on and on and on. So we know that Mike Tyson has had issues with mental illness. He's been open about it. Okay? Is this the right man to poke repeatedly? This is like poking a sleeping pit bull. Repeatedly. At some point, the pit bull is going to get up. I'm using pit bull as an example. Obviously, there's almost any dog might do this. Nothing against pit bulls. But you do that repeatedly. What's going to happen? The dog's going to bite you. The dog is going to bite. We've seen it on video. We've seen it in real life. People just keep poking. They call it poking the bear, but most people don't go around poking bears. That would be really dumb. But this man on this flight, he might have been that drunk to poke a bear. And finally, he pushed enough buttons and he went to the breaking point where Mike Tyson reacted. Why did Mike Tyson react like that? Well, we all know, obviously he has some, he's dealing with a lot of mental illness issues, and everyone has their breaking point. Yeah, do you assault somebody? No. Why didn't anyone jump in? They would have jumped in if it was a female. They surely would have jumped in, I believe, if they saw a female passenger getting harassed by a drunk man like that. Now, that brings us to the next point, which is, why didn't anyone from the airline step in? You have a clearly drunk passenger, intoxicated passenger, harassing another passenger. And it is being filmed by the intoxicated man's buddy. And they're laughing and they're giggling. Why did not a single flight attendant address this young man, move his seat, address his level of intoxication and say, hey, enough. Leave this guy alone. Enough. Nobody did anything. They watched and they just let it happen. They let it happen. And then what happens? Mike Tyson stands up and takes the situation into his own hands, which his hands are deadly weapons, and decided to give it to this kid. And everyone's like, oh, Mike Tyson hit this guy. I'm not saying it was the responsibility of other passengers to step in, because in this day and age, people just break out their cell phone and don't do anything. I think they would have done it if it was a female. However, what about the flight attendants? Where is their responsibility to address this situation? Not just because it's a celebrity that is being harassed. How about if it was just anyone, you or me, that was being harassed by some drunk idiot? Where are they? Aren't they supposed to step in and stop that and nip that in the bud? Or do they just allow that? Because they heard it and they saw it going on. What the heck happened there? Why didn't they? Another question that nobody is asking. Now, there are some rumors, obviously, it's all speculation, that this man was doing this intentionally to Mike Tyson to incite violence and to get a reaction out of him so he could ultimately maybe sue Mike Tyson and get some money or what have you. And you know what? That very well might happen by Mike Tyson's people to make this go away. Or they might fight it and maybe make an example out of this guy of, hey, you can't get drunk and verbally harass celebrities without punishment, with impunity. You can't do that. It's not okay. In this society, when people are drunk, they feel like, yeah, they can do it. This kid must have thought he was on Instagram, where he could, in the comment section, where nothing was going to happen to him. Unfortunately, he was doing it in real life. And he paid the price. Mike Tyson spoke about this. People don't get punched in the face anymore. That's why people act a certain way. Well, now he got punched in the face. Once again, I'm not saying what Mike Tyson did was right. I'm just saying there are a lot of things that didn't happen that could have prevented this from happening. Bystanders stepping in. Hey man, how about whoever was sitting around that kid? Hey man, leave him alone. You're drunk, leave him alone. He's told you a dozen times now, enough, okay? Got it? You're drunk and you're being funny. Okay, enough. He said enough and it's over multiple times. It's time to sit down and leave him alone, buddy. Leave him alone. It's over. You're done. Flight attendant, you might want to take care of this guy. He's annoying the hell out of this guy up here. No one said anything. No one did anything. Everyone just watched. Apparently, the flight crew just watched as well. Apparently, based on witness testimony, nothing was done until Mike Tyson decided to take things into his own hands. So, there's a lot of people who are supporting Mike Tyson in this. They're saying, hey, he's not wrong. He just got pushed to the breaking point by a drunk idiot that was irritating him to the point where listen, at some point when you ask a person to stop, and they don't stop, what do? Now, let's turn the tables a little bit. Let's say this is a female, and the female has a drunk man harassing her, and the female says, stop, leave me alone, stop, okay, stop, enough, leave me alone, and doesn't, and the male keeps going and keeps pushing and keeps going, and the female finally snaps and turns around and pokes the guy in the eyes or slaps him or punches him in the nose to get him to leave her alone. Would anyone be saying anything to that female if she did that? I know I wouldn't. I know I sure wouldn't. If I saw it happening and I was on that plane, as a man, I would have stepped up and said, buddy, you've had a little too much to drink. Sit down. It's time to leave the young lady alone. If you don't, there's going to be a problem. So enough's enough. Sit down. Flight attendant, you might want to move this guy. Nothing was done. Nothing like that was done. A little odd, but I surely know that if it was happening to a female and a female responded like Mike Tyson did, nobody would be saying anything about the female striking the man. But because it's Mike Tyson, or because it's a man and he turned around and addressed it with his fists, now it's a problem, especially because it's Mike Tyson. But we all know Mike Tyson's crazy. Mike Tyson's crazy. Are you crazy? Obviously, the guy was drunk. Maybe if he was sober, he wouldn't realize that this is the wrong person to be pulling this BS with. But he did. Lesson learned, right? This is about survival of the fittest. This was a poor, unintelligent decision that could have got him killed. And if he did end up dead, obviously, that would have been a horrific thing. Thankfully, he just looked like he got a cut on his head and, what have you. But yes, could Mike Tyson have seriously hurt him and or killed him? Of course he could. Of course he could. We all know that. So this is a lesson not only in people around the situation not doing anything, but this is a lesson in when you are a bystander. Are you, and this is a good question, are you to blame in any part for not intervening? Now, I can tell you this. If a group of men were watching a man harass, verbally abuse a woman, and something bad ultimately happened to that woman, I am sure that all the men watching this bad thing happen to this woman by this drunk, annoying guy that just kept pushing, they would somewhat be held responsible, at least in the court of public opinion, for not stepping in and doing something and just simply watching as this woman maybe got assaulted, sexually assaulted, who knows? They would say, you were there. Why didn't you do anything? Why didn't you step up? Why did you let this woman get assaulted? It started out with verbal abuse and then it escalated. Why did you not do anything? You would hope men would, but if men didn't, I'm sure people would say something. In this situation, no one is saying anything to anyone about who else, all the people that were sitting around Mike Tyson and this drunk guy. No one's saying, hey, why didn't you do anything? No. It's Mike Tyson responded, and now everyone's like, oh my God, come on. Really? Really? So, let me know your thoughts on this. Did Mike Tyson, who repeatedly asked the man to stop, which was conveniently left out of the video that was released, repeatedly asking the man to stop, leave him alone before he, snapped and turned around and hit him. Is Mike Tyson at fault here? Or is it the fault of the drunk man? Not that we're victim blaming, we're not, but is there any fault? Is there any responsibility that we're gonna lie on this drunk man for his actions? Yes, he was drunk. Control your alcohol consumption. And is there any responsibility to be placed on those sitting around watching this? And is there any responsibility on the flight crew for letting this escalate to the point which it did? Let me know. And also let me know what you think would have happened if this was a female passenger that was being harassed by a drunk man. Let me know how that would have went down, how that should have went down, and how that would have differed. Let me know in the comments. I'm going to leave you with this. Be a good human being. If you are on an airplane, at a park, whatever, wherever, and you see this happening to anybody, whether you're a man and you see a man doing this to a woman, or you're a man and you see this doing to, yes, of course, when it's a man, if you're a female, yes, you might feel that, if you intervene, you yourself might get hurt. Understandable. So I'm talking to the guys here. If you're a guy, right? Do you step in and stop this man from harassing this woman? And if you see a man harassing another man, do you step in? Now, you don't know. It could be a drunk guy verbally harassing a mentally challenged man. It might look like a regular man, but the man could be, mentally challenged. He could be autistic. He could have some kind of learning disability. And you could see some drunk bully bullying him. And you could say to yourself, well, it's not a girl, so I'm just going to let it go. That man can handle his own business. You don't know. You don't know. So should you, as a man, step in? Or do you just say, hey, no, I'm not going to step in? And for you ladies, what would you want? If some drunk guy is harassing you on a plane and won't leave you alone after repeated requests, you telling him to leave you alone, what would you expect of the people sitting around you, and what would you expect of the flight crew? Let me know in the comments. I'm not going to hear this is not the last of this. So let's see how this goes. All right. Remember, keep washing your hands. It's out there. 5 masks. 5.